They love me.
Not interested in you like that look of this stadia.
While watching X-Men 97 and Spectacular Spider-Man, I was taking in how good they were and how much I've been missing superior storytelling like this after years of hearing their superior fatigue. But let's be real.
We promise to be good.
The MCU has been recently with a string of bad movies and TV shows such as Ant-Man 3 and Secret Invasion. My channel was literally started because of how much I hated Thor Love and Thunder and its overall place in the MCU. Now, shows like Loki and X-Men 97 have definitely shown the greatness that can still be achieved by Marvel and ward off the superior fatigue. There were 3 major mistakes Marvel made that caused the downward spiral it is on now.
Avengers! Assemble.
So to understand the mistakes, we have to start on April 27, 2018, the release of the most anticipated movie of the decade, Avengers Infinity War. Marvel hype was at an all-time high, theories were flying, DC was a mess, Invincible was just a thought. It was just peak Marvel bringing in a decade of storytelling together in a way that was never done before. There were 2 issues going into Endgame though. 1, we knew the characters that were coming back as they had already announced their sequel movies, and 2, we didn't know who Captain Marvel was, but she was the key to the Endgame. She was
Marvel Jesus.
They released Captain Marvel and it was a disappointment. I don't think it was a bad movie, but it felt useless and would definitely not have made the 1.1 billion if not for everyone trying to overanalyze it and see what it means for Endgame. On April 26, 2019, Avengers Endgame opened to the masses. A film that culminated over 10 years of intricate storytelling, ending a great journey we have globally been on for this decade, and it made $2.8 billion. Turns out the Captain Marvel movie wasn't really needed, and this was part of the 3 mistakes that began the downward spiral we are in now. As if Thanos was trying to balance the world, Marvel's momentum ended in a snap. So the biggest and the most detrimental mistake the MCU made was the terrible passing of the torch as a result of the death of Iron Man, the retirement of Captain America, and a dissolution of the Avengers. In real life, this was a consequence of the ending of contracts of some very expensive contracts and a good resolution to these stories being told. This left us with not much going forward.
Nothing left!
A Spider-Man movie that was mid, followed up by a Black Widow movie that, love it or hate it, it was released so late compared to when it should have been released, so that in the grand scheme of things, it was kinda useless. Then the shows on Disney Plus in between those 2 films either captured an audience but ended so horribly, such as WandaVision, or outstanding like Loki, so a mixed bag. Now yes, phase 1 of the MCU was inconsistent, but 2 things: 1, major audiences didn't really care until Avengers, and 2, this isn't phase 1 anymore. They need to build upon the goodwill, not restart from scratch. Since Endgame felt like such an ending point, and the perfect jumping off point to leave the MCU, an end credits scene dedicated to Kang's introduction should have been teased, much like how Thanos was sprinkled in end credit scenes in phase 1.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
First showing up in the Avengers movie, or at least showing the time travel had caused an incursion.
It's a metaphor for capitalism.
This would have clearly set up what the next big bad was and what to stick around for. A show that is really good at doing this was Naruto. At the end of arcs, even when Naruto had inevitably saved the day, a future villain like the shadowy Akatsuki would show up menacingly in a sort of after-credits scene. It didn't take away from Naruto's moment, but showed even more what was coming, and there are still big threats to worry about in the future. This method was used at the end of X-Men 97 Season 1, so maybe Marvel is learning. Long-running anime programs such as Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece have the perfect formula the MCU should have been based on. The movies replicate the big story arcs, and the Disney Plus shows being filler and lore expansion. Ironically, Marvel did used to do this with the much forgotten and severely underrated Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. It often gave details that were added to the lore, such as what were the true effects of Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D., as it really felt like it was skipped over in the movies. Modern Disney could have explained the Eternal statue in the middle of the ocean, or keep us up with the many new heroes like the new Falcon, Shang-Chi, or the Ten Rings gang with the Disney Plus shows. Before we continue with the video today, remember to like, comment, and subscribe below, as your support would go a long way. This video is sponsored by my Patreon and will help me push out more videos such as The Dark Side of Rockstar's GTA 6, Why Miles Morales Shouldn't Be in the MCU, or my review on the live-action Avatar TV show. I have more exciting videos coming out, like my story theory on GTA 6, how Nintendo should make their next console, how franchises are causing the collapse of cinema, and the morality of superheroes. So remember to click the bell to get notifications for when those come out. Anyway, back to the video. Generally, what is happening right now in the MCU post-Endgame? We are in the multiverse saga, but we've barely seen any multiverses. Oh, well, Kang is coming. I mean, he was defeated by Ant-Man and Ant, so not really. Okay, so then the incursions are still happening, right? The multiverse is falling apart, right? Well, no, because in the Loki series, Loki has saved the multiverse by himself. Okay, well, there's always the threat of Kang. He is a multiversal threat, as seen in the Ant-Man post-credit scene, right? Is Kang even a thing right now? Loki series ended with him being dealt with. Jonathan Majors had the court case, and now the next Avengers isn't even called Kang Dynasty anymore.
Well, then what are we doing?
Now, we know these decisions, whether it was to rush the announcement of movie titles or greenlighting useless shows, was because of Disney's need for growth on the Disney Plus platform. Disney Plus launched on November 12, 2019, and upper management needed a bunch of heavy-hitting shows that bring people to the platform and stay on it. Disney banked on their brands and nostalgia to ensure they won the streaming wars.
He's finding out that nobody gives a fuck.
And that explains so much of the messiness of the storytelling. The expansion of the MCU already spread Kevin Feige pretty thin, but now it was expected that along with an increased release of MCU movies to 3 a year, there would also be multiple series to be released. No show demonstrates the messiness of storytelling much like WandaVision. WandaVision was solid, but then totally ruined by the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie, as the main conflict seemed to be wrapped up in WandaVision. It was then suddenly rehashed with the writer and director of the movie clearly stating they hadn't watched WandaVision before finalizing the Doctor Strange movie. And it shows. Wanda was going through the same problems we had solved in the show. This slowly broke the illusion of the connectedness present in MCU, which was one of the major advantages it had over the failed DCEU. Then there was the Ralph Boner reveal.
Ralph Boner?
Boner.
This was honestly one of the worst twists in television. This was set up to be the perfect way to slowly integrate the multiverse, as we were in the multiverse saga, but none of that happened. Any lingering storylines have either been completely ruined, redone, or we haven't got a conclusion years later. Where is Vision? We won't know till this show, Vision Quest, releases in 2026, which is a 5-year wait. By that time, the Blade movie will only have 2 directors away from finding their final choice. Another failure was Secret Invasion, a major storyline in the comics that takes years, inspired by the invasion of the Body Snatchers and the humanoid Cylons from Battlestar Galactica. When Secret Invasion was released, conceptually, us as an audience didn't have enough setup to care about this rush story. From the setup of Captain Marvel, the Skrulls are seen as refugees, so the sudden turn to villainy is jarring. Then the false sense of scale by having this major world event seem to affect everyone except people we care about, and finally it has no consequence or follow-up in later movies such as The Marvels. Again, the veil of connected storytelling has begun to slip so far that even those who aren't diehard followers can point out clear issues being present. The worst part is Marvel already adapted Secret Invasions to screens in a brilliant way on Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Honestly, the storytelling of Avengers EMH on the big screen. It truly is baffling how a show like Earth's Mightiest Heroes could get so much correct, like Kang and Ultron and Secret Invasion, and the MCU couldn't take any of its brightest ideas and push them into the MCU. Then again, we keep being told the writers of these stories are told not to consume the stories they are basing their movies on.
None of this makes sense.
This messiness that's prevalent from big to small details has felt like there is no payoff in keeping up with the story. Even the post-credit scenes have felt disconnected, with no continuation for years or just storylines seemingly completely forgotten. Marvel builds hype with no payoff, and it just ruins the feelings going forward. Listen, I understand Marvel is a business and hype sells not only tickets and increases engagement, but most importantly to Disney, it keeps shareholders happy as they are confident in their investment going forward. But hype is draining when there is no payoff. For example, I'm an England football fan, and from my earliest memories, I've been told this is the golden generation and they will win a major sports tournament. It has been 58 years since England has won anything, and that has led to either denial or the realization we have been lied to and overhyped and despair, meaning there is less engagement, excitement, and increased negativity around them. And the same is happening to Marvel now. They can't control leaks mostly, but they release publicly upcoming movies and shows way in advance, unnecessarily so, and not the ones that are actually important. We have the announcement of movies coming out in 2027 at D23 in 2022. These announcements weren't all that was going to be released, but it didn't include any sequels to the new characters. Other than 2 Avengers movies, we would see these characters interact with each other. So the major selling point of the connected universe isn't being displayed, and instead it felt like the board members at Disney wanted to push content. Shang-Chi, the breakout star of the post-Endgame new characters, has no sequel or spin-off coming up right after it ended on a cliffhanger, seeming to hint at Shang-Chi's big connection to the world, or even the multiverse. All that, and currently he hasn't even talked to anyone outside of Captain Marvel, Bruce Banner, and Wong, and that was in 2021. There has been 19 projects since then. Yes, 19. And what have we got since then?
Nada. Fuck you. What do you need or nothing?
So now the hype for him and his surrounding characters, the 10 Rings and the 10 Rings organization, has died off. Marvel has brought in Harry Styles, one of the biggest pop stars in the world, and nowhere to be found. Thanos' brother, and it has just been left hanging? So the next time something cool happens that hints at a future concept, I just don't have any hope it pays off. So the hype is gone. So hype moments are less and less exciting. Well, at least nostalgia is always available.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
That's the 3 main reasons why the MCU is slowly dying. Now, it's still possible, with a great plan, to turn it around. But first, they have to recognize that this is where it is going wrong. Do you agree with me? Do you have your own ideas on why the MCU is losing its grip? Let me know down below. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos. By the way, we haven't even truly had the X-Men, Avengers team up, or the team up of all these new young heroes around the place. What's up with that? Did you see how many superpowered people exist in the She-Hulk? Oh, this is a mess.
What the